Hello there, I'm Randy Cross, and this is Unsafe Spaces. This is Season 2. This is Episode 3. I want to thank you for joining us. We'll have the same collection of things we normally have, including an interview today with Jamie Dukes, co-founder of Drip Fusion Pro IV, and we'll be talking about a solution, or at least his solution, to the opioid crisis. But starting things out here, let's go ahead and let me get in my information/commentary for the week. I would like to bring something to the table here, and maybe to your attention if you're not aware of it, and that is the REESE'S Senior Bowl. Now, for a lot of people, they would say, okay, I think I know about it, or what the heck is a Senior Bowl? Is that an all-star game? Well, what it basically is a live audition for the best senior, fourth year players out there for NFL scouts. Get out there on the practice field, perform the functions that they're going to draft you for. This is the first tryout for the NFL for these young players. It is invaluable for them and invaluable for the NFL. And as fans, if you are a fan of football, you have got to check this out. This has got to be part of your yearly routine, because if you follow the draft and you follow your team, this is the best way for you to get your information. Go to the NFL channel, and they've got videos of practice. They've got breakdowns of individual drills. It's an amazing, amazing event. And Phil Savage is the executive director. He, the former NFL front office executive, has done an amazing job, just a splendid job on this event, making it better, more robust. But the bottom line is, it's a nice opportunity for these players to show what they can do. Check out this video.
Kareem Hunt. Hey, start fast now. Set the tone on play one now. Touchdown! Dak Prescott leads his team down the field and punches it in.
I went to the Senior Bowl because I felt like, it would benefit you the most to go out there with some of the best in college football and compete, and show these scouts what you can do, against the best of the best.
Always go and compete, man. Combine and all that stuff is whatever. The Senior Bowl is actually football, so go out, go play some football in front of those scouts and show them what you can do.
And I would encourage all football fans, do the same thing. Check it out. Get out there. There are fans that plan vacations, football fans, hardcore football fans, around being in Mobile, Alabama during this week. And God bless them. I think it's fantastic. But more regular fans ought to check out the REESE'S Senior Bowl. It's worth it. Check it out. Okay, next up on the hit parade here is the NFL and some highlights/scores about what happened last week in the playoffs. It's all about the road to Super Bowl 52. And if you joined us last week, you'll know that I think this is all pretty much anticlimactic. In Game 1, the AFC Championship game, it was the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to the surprise of no one outside of the Jaguars fans and their organization, New England came back and beat them in the AFC Championship game and will be going now to their 8th Super Bowl. Congratulations. Good on you. It's just sort of I think it's been decided a while back with this combination, the way the teams are, as to who's going to be hoisting that trophy a week from Sunday in Super Bowl 52. On the NFC side, it was much less of a game. I was wrong. I thought it'd be close. I thought it'd be like the Atlanta-Philadelphia game. Woo! The Eagles just boat raced the Minnesota Vikings. It wasn't even close. So much for hosting in your home stadium a Super Bowl. Well, that ain't going to happen because Philadelphia, it gets to be the designated victim in Super Bowl 52. Yeah, that's what I said. I said Philadelphia gets to be the designated victim in Super Bowl 52. So what now? 11 days before New England gets to raise another Super Bowl trophy? You know, it's as much of a testament to how great a job that Belichick and that organization has done as it is an indictment against the rest of the league. That this organization should be so dominant and have the rest of the league walking around doing the penguin walk because their pants are down around their ankles. All right, now coming up next, I'll be interviewing Jamie Dukes, the co-founder of Drip Fusion Pro IV, which is a solution to the opioid crisis, or at least one solution to the opioid crisis, coming up next. All right, joined now by Jamie Dukes, co-founder of Pro IV. Jamie, welcome.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, things doing well. Things are pretty exciting with you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, well, pretty excited with everybody.
Yeah.
With us.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since last time we spoke. Tell us a little bit about this, the emphasis as far as Pro IV goes on the non-opioid solution for people out there that do have an issue when it comes to pain.
Well, you know, we hear all the conversation about opioids, and we know first of all, I'm not opposed to opioids. There is a place for opioids. The problem has been that many of the people who they've been prescribing them to needed something stronger than a Tylenol. And there was nothing other than an opioid. And so now we know on the back end that there is a lot more damage that can be done with the opioids. That's kind of the reason why we are where we are. But that being said, so with Pro IV, we have a non-opioid, non-steroid, non-addictive, 97% all-natural alternative therapy for pain. And what you're seeing is you have so many people that are, right now, I think there's now 150 Americans just here in the United States that are suffering from some form of chronic pain.
150 million.
150 million Americans of 300 have some form of chronic pain that they're dealing. That doesn't mean that all 150 million are being prescribed an opioid, but it's that people are dealing with these chronic issues. And so what we have the ability to do is kind of give people an alternative, if you would, a safer, a healthier alternative. Because what our therapy is, it involves micronutrients, trace minerals, or vitamins, if you will, and merging low-dose synthetic drugs, and we utilize the bloodstream as the delivery mechanism. And so that's why we can offer significantly lower dosages as far as milligrams, so on and so forth, and also have maximum potency because we're utilizing the bloodstream.
Now, we both came out of a culture, sports, specifically football, where opioids are fairly common.
Yeah.
In fact, it got to the point where guys were leaving the game, and some very well publicized cases, but in general, guys were leaving the game with sort of a problem when it came to pain medication. Now, another group that has the same issue is the military, because there is so much prescribing that goes on, especially in a combat type area. How does this type of a treatment be able to mitigate that kind of a problem?
Well, there's several layers to that problem you're talking about. And I think the first part of it, I always do the analogy first and foremost, because we're just lost causes. You and I, our bodies, we're just not fixing these bodies. But the point being is that
it's an uphill battle.
It is a real uphill battle. But so the first part of it is our therapy is a prevention strategy. Simply put, you take a sip and I'll do it just simple as this. So I take a sip of this water. There is a 0% chance that I would become hooked on an opiate having had that sip of water. In that same way, someone breaks an arm, car accident, cheerleader, because what goes up doesn't always come down in somebody's arms.
Right.
So instead of, if someone gets injured, if they have this therapy, our therapy, as opposed to an opiate, therefore there's a 0.0% chance that they're going to get hooked. Now, the second part of that equation is the older guys like us, and it's amazing. I had a great opportunity in South Carolina yesterday to speak with the Veterans Committee, matter of fact, the entire state council. for the veterans in South Carolina, talking specifically about what we're talking about here, and being able to show them that there are alternatives because the other part of the opioid thing is, while you're dealing with the pain, you're also loopy. In many cases, now prone to more falls.
Right.
So there's so many compounding issues and challenges that go along with, just being able to, taking, said medicines, because there are also some other problems. You start talking about, now all of a sudden you start having renal issues, liver, kidney issues. Now all of a sudden you get neuropathy, as a result of not being able to, by taking these opioids at such large quantities. Mm-hmm. And the thing I always told, I was a lady, it was really moving because her husband I think she had said he had had 7 strokes since 2002. Okay.
Wow.
And he can't get out of the bed unless he has an opiate to get him, so he can have the energy and be pain-free enough, and he's in a wheelchair. And the thing that challenged her most was, and it was really a heart-wrenching story, because for her it was, my husband's not a drug addict.
Right. And just to be clear,
Yeah.
nothing about this from a solution standpoint, from an application standpoint, is currently configured, has anything to do with what everybody always associates right now with the opioid crisis and the fentanyl,
yes,
and all
yes.
that's coming over the borders and
yes.
all and whatnot. This has got nothing to do with that.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, it's
a small segment of that.
Yes, and so here she's talking about, my husband, he's not a drug addict.
Yeah,
but he needs help, and so what can you do? And so she was making her plea to the VA there in South Carolina. What kind of alternatives do you have? Now, obviously, for us being there, and I was a keynote speaker there, it was a great segue because her testimony, if you would, was really powerful because she was making the plea for her husband who was sitting there, and he was cognitive, but you could tell he just wasn't able to function as well as he would like to. Mm-hmm. So we did actually some infusion therapies while we were up there. And we know the results of it. You know what it's done for you, and the same thing is done for me. And so they've got an opportunity to see it. And the thing that they got a chance to see was that there is hope. Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing that, we want people to understand. There is hope out there for this situation. And again, opioids aren't the enemy. It's just a matter of how you use them. It's just like money. I mean, it's just how you use money. That can tell you whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm. What exactly, not a different subject, mm-hmm. but along these same lines, the Opioid Recalibration Coalition?
So ORCA is a group. What we're doing is we're challenging physicians to the best of their ability, look at recalibrating or reducing the distribution of opiates to their constituency and to their patients. And by law, they're going to have to do it now, because some of the other challenges is state by state. I mean, you're now getting a week supply, and that is it. Right. So they're cutting back, and so what we're asking attorneys are.
So the iceberg that is the federal government and whatnot is slowly turning in that direction.
No, it turned it, and what's happening? The states are taking the lead.
Okay.
So the iceberg, you're right, is moving slower in that direction, but the states are aggressive. The governor of South Carolina, he lost a family member. The governor of Missouri, same story. They lost close family members to it, and so they have taken the charge to be very aggressive in just regulating may not be the right word, but curtailing. This 90-day supplies that are just kind of immediately issued when you have, some issues.
What have you experienced? You've been doing this since the beginning. You're mm-hmm. a co-founder of mm-hmm. Pro-IV, but what's the major pushback that you experience when you get into a room, when you get in front of a group, be it veterans mm-hmm. or any other large group about this?
The major pushback was kind of the unknown. Because it's hard to believe, and that's the same thing with veterans or even with government officials, medical officials, this, that, and the other. They find it hard that a solution like this could just out of nowhere just walk in the door. I remember we were speaking to Johnny Isaacson, and we had to go back to him to present some data because we'll talk about the study that we did, the veteran study.
The senator.
Yes, Senator Johnny Isaacson, yes. And so while we were sitting there, and so we were presenting to him our therapy, you know how you see that curious look on somebody's face? And then he kept looking over at his aide and goes, well, how come I never heard of this? And he must have said that 6 times because he could not believe that as simple as presented that a therapy that is a solution to or a prevention solution for the opioid epidemic could be there. So he was waiting on, and so we'll schedule a meeting back because Senator Isaacson chairs the Veterans Committee in the Senate. So big advocate for veterans there. And so now that we have the data, Dr. Eric Naputi conducted a 110 veteran study. But the thing was, it's people just can't believe because they hear problem, even in the media.
Right.
You know, I've had more problems getting members of the media who continue to do big expose after expose about opioid epidemics, and getting them to say, well, there's an alternative out there. Let's talk about this potential alternative that's out there. Just a very tough time getting traction, just making, without us having to go pay for advertising to get the word out that there is a healthy alternative out there.
Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but you wouldn't think something like Big Pharma's got anything to do with that, do you?
No. We are Big Pharma's friend.
Okay.
Because, see, the thing is, we have, and Drip Fusion Enterprises is the parent company for Pro-IV. We have 20 plus different formulations and therapies for chronic issues, whether it be ranging from cancer. Dr. Lori Wilson, she's a surgical oncologist at Howard University, one of the top surgeons in the world. She sits on Susan B. Coleman's board of directors. She's going to be doing that research. We have kidney disease, sepsis, PTSD. We've got all kinds of different therapies that are out there. And so our point is, what Drip Fusion is a new way of making drugs and making it healthy. That's really what the technology is. Micronutrients, trace minerals, vitamins, if you will, depending on the circumstances, synthetic drugs, whether it be Tylenol or whatever, some type of synthetic drug that might be required, but using microscopic dosages. So what we are doing is we want to help other pharmaceutical companies make their drugs safer. It's not that, because the drug and the molecule actually works. It was what they had to do to make it into a pill and then get it to go through the stomach to dissolve through the body to make it. That's what causes the last 30 seconds of all of these commercials that you see.
Right.
So our goal is we're not the enemy of Big Pharma at all. We're the friend.
Yeah. Also known as those wonderful disclaimers.
That is correct.
Have you got a sore neck? This will help you with your sore neck. May cause your feet to fall off. May cause, wow. If folks out there want more information on Pro-IV and on Drip Fusion in general, where do they go?
Well, the thing we want to do is go to dripamerica.org. And what it is a grassroots initiative that we have that is designed to help people be aware about it. We have, you mentioned ORCA, Opioid Recalibration Coalition and Advisory. That is for the physicians. We have Moms for Pro-IV. So in case your child gets hurt, injured, or whatever, you don't want to be hunting for something that's an alternative to an opioid. Just ask your physician, hey, just check into what's going on with this Pro-IV product, if you're interested or not, because the one thing I know a lot of moms don't want to do is expose their child to an opioid. So they can go to proiv.net and take a look at that to see what they're looking at as far as our therapy is concerned.
That's great. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And good luck. We'll keep track.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Thank you. Alrighty, thank you so much to Jamie Dukes for joining us, and hopefully that gave you a little bit more information on it. And we'll put up some websites and whatnot through this whole process as to if you need more information on Jamie's organization. Let's go right now to a couple of stories that are sports related. In fact, it is sports. One of the early golf events on the PGA Tour, the Career Builder Challenge. In case you're like me and you don't identify a fence quite yet with their sponsors, this is the old Bob Hope Classic. The get-together in Palm Springs, just a fantastic event. attracts most of the better players in the world. And in this case, Jon Rahm won this event. A great young player, early 20s, a Spaniard, and a guy that can just absolutely golf his ball. He can play some amazing golf. Let's check out a little bit of a highlight package from the event.
Tried to say he moved his head and followed the ball. He did things his own way. But I like that head down.
Yeah, that'll do.
At the Nicklaus Tournament course.
Jason Duffner.
I guess, I don't know. Here's Phil.
Best short game ever.
Karen, that ball didn't even get in the bunker. And he makes it.
Actually, about eye level with the hole. Not a difficult pitch. He was able to get on the back of the ball, and wow.
Yeah, it's not difficult.
The best shot in the opening
maybe.
round of the Career Builder Challenge came from Jon Rahm at La Quinta, par 5, 5th. Second shot from the fairway. That was fabulous.
With water just behind it.
Problem today is if
Another
you
one of
bail
the
out
great
to the
shots
right
from
and miss
Rahm.
the green over there, it's a tough up and down.
This is fantastic.
Boy, is it ever. This has a chance if it gets there.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
That's how you win a golf tournament. And that's what Jon Rahm did last week. There's always a fun time of the year, especially if you're not located in Southern California or Hawaii and the temperature is a little lower. You can tune in, watch them play golf in some very scenic, beautiful locations. Another newsworthy series of things happened in another sport, and that would be the NBA. We've been watching LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers struggle, to put it nicely, sort of rather publicly. They've been taking some bad losses. And LeBron basically says, don't worry, we'll tighten this up. We'll get back into the NBA Finals against what is the best team in the NBA right now, easily, the Golden State Warriors. One coach that won't be involved in the playoffs and going forward is Jason Kidd at Milwaukee. He has been fired and is out of a job. For those of you curious, Milwaukee is located in Wisconsin, just north of Chicago. If you haven't been there, you haven't missed much. And Jason can move back to New York or California, where he's from, and be none the worse for the wear, because I'm sure he's getting a nice little parting gift, as all coaches do these days, which is tens of millions of dollars to go away and be fired. Oh, boo-hoo. All right, let's lead the world of sports here, and let's get into our feel-good story of the week. All right, Mr. Hamster, munching on that watermelon. I like my man. This is a story. It's not a heart tugger. It's not even close to being a heart tugger, but it is sort of nice to see. And that is the fact that North Korea and South Korea, if you've kept track of the news lately, not the best of buddies. They've decided that they are going to march together under one flag at the Winter Olympics. And actually, they're going to field a women's hockey team that will be made up of players from both countries. And you've got to hope that when they march under this flag, it's just sort of the first of what may be several de-escalating events between, two sort of mortal enemies. One of the most tense, dangerous spots in the world is at DMZ in North Korea, or between North and South Korea. And they're going to be able to march together. And it's what things like the Olympics and sports are all about. It's supposed to be about stuff like this. And good on them. Let's get a little more information.
The first time South and North Korea marched into a sporting event together was at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, and since then they've done it 8 more times, the most recent being the 2007 Southeast Asian Games in China. Under the name Korea, athletes from the two sides marched in, holding the unification flag. Their entrance music was the much-loved traditional folk song Arirang. But some experts say that while the two sides might come in together this time too, they'll do so each holding their own flag.
This Olympics holds a great deal of meaning to South Koreans since we failed numerous times before finally getting to host the Winter Games. But to not see the national flag of the host country could be quite disappointing to many. Also, the international community's perception of North Korea has changed very much compared to 10 years ago due to Pyongyang's aggressive nuclear development, so it's something to be discussed.
The uniform for the athletes at the opening and closing ceremonies is also something to keep an eye on. The uniforms for some 100 South Korean athletes and dignitaries have already been made, and they feature the South Korean flag taegukgi. But some experts say they might need a slight change if the two Koreas are going to walk in together. With Seoul and Pyongyang marching in together at a global sporting event for the first time in 11 years, there are a lot of details to be discussed. But experts say it'll be a great opportunity to promote Pyeongchang 2018 as a Peace Olympics and show the world the need for peace in the Korean Peninsula. 이지원, 아리랑 뉴스.
And hopefully, like they say, hopefully it will encourage peace on that peninsula. That's a peninsula that could use a little bit of peace. Good on you guys. Good to see it's happening. Keep track of this. Obviously, it'll be in the news. So let's see what happens. All right. I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to remind you exactly where it is you find this podcast. You can go online to unsafespacesusa.com. You can go to randycross.com. You can go to YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter. And feel free, when you do get this, forward it to a friend. Recommend it. Spread it. Let's see if we can get this thing going viral. What do you mean? What do you think? Can we do that? No, but at this end of this part of the show, we usually end things up with our own version of the imploding stadium, Happy Trails.
Happy Trails.